What's going on, Rippa fans and Rippa fam? And Andrew here, along with the illustrious illustrators over at the Rippaverse on our internal team. And we are back with another fantastic episode of Ctrl+Z Artists Podcast, which you guys seem to enjoy. We enjoy. I get to be surrounded by talented people and just kind of be here, which is basically what I get to do all day, every day, which is kind of a blessing and pretty rad if you ask me. I'm the one without the talent here. So I'm kind of the odd duck out. I'm the black sheep. It's okay. Kanan doesn't get to be the black sheep. I'm the black sheep. Sorry, Kanan.
Oh, got a choice.
Not with that attitude. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is also going to be the first episode where we kind of involved y'all, who are artists in the Rippaverse fandom, as part of our monthly art prompt. So the art prompt for this month and this episode was spring cleaning. Now that can have a pretty broad range of applications. So not everything is going to involve, I don't know, maids dusting shelves or something like that, or your mom vacuuming up your messy room. You should really be vacuuming your own room, to be honest. I don't care if you're 5 years old, get a job. But we will have a fantastic piece that the guys and I will analyze and talk about after we get through their pieces for the prompt. And yeah, we're going to have a good time. And then the guys will talk a little bit about what their favorite pieces that they've done that y'all have seen for this year so far. So that could entail one of the prompt pieces for the show. That could entail a t-shirt design. It could be a piece for a milestone piece, like what Eigor does a lot. It could be a freaking character design like Marcos does 24/7. It could be just about anything, as long as you guys have seen it and it's not NDA'd. So we will get into it. I, again, am Andrew Rodriguez. I'm the creative manager, lead editor here at the Rippaverse. I am joined by our lead art editor and art director, Mr. Kanan White. Kanan, thanks for being here, brother.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
As always, we couldn't have the show without you, as we also could not have the show without Eigor, our lead artist here, lead illustrator, and one of our art editors as well, who does fantastic work for us every day and contributes immensely to the process for not only the graphics that you guys see, but also for our books. So Eigor, thank you for being here, brother.
Thanks for having me again.
Of course, couldn't do it without you. And honestly, none of us would be here, and none of the books would be here without the man, the myth, the legend, who is on camera.
Yes.
Mr. Marcos Rios, who is the concept artist here and designs everything. He takes writers' ideas and makes them look cool.
Yes.
Otherwise, you just
90%.
get like stick figures. Like the Eric sketch?
The sketch.
The serious legendary art sketch.
It's okay. If there was an Andrew sketch, I'm sure it'd be even worse. So that's okay.
There is.
I don't believe that, Andrew.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Thanks for having me, though.
Of course, we couldn't do it without you. Quite literally, we would not have Isom or Yaira or Alphacor or Bloodruth.
Yep.
Lillian and Michael, most of these characters, unless it was the brainchild offspring of Chuck and Joe,
Right.
Marcos designed it. So that's like all but like 2 characters, at least right now.
Exactly.
So the man's got a lot under his belt. What was that?
The characters.
Yeah, it's more like 99.8 or
Right.
something ridiculous like that. But thank you for being here, amigo. I appreciate you. Let's get right into some of these time lapses, shall we? Who are we going to start with? You know what? We will start with. I picked on Eigor last time because he got his right in at the bell. I'm gonna pick on Kanan. I'm gonna pick on Kanan because Kanan turned his in this morning.
Good morning.
Shame.
Hey.
Hey man, I don't discriminate. I gotta be fair. I picked on Eigor last episode.
Granted.
It's only right.
Only fair.
Yeah, All right, let's pull this sucker up. This will be good. I'm looking forward to this. There we go. Yeah. All right. So take us through this one. This could be like, if people can't read what's on his screen, this could be taken great in many ways. However, walk us through what you did here, brother.
Basically, man, just I always try to take a concept, man, and think about it differently. And spring cleaning, you generally think cleaning your office, cleaning up around the house, the yard, things like that. But for this, I was like deleting files and kind of put a story behind it as well. So like you mentioned, what's on the screen is like Yaira's origin, and of course that's not been revealed all the way in aspects. And so this is like the top secret file that has supposedly all of that information in it. And so he's trying to delete it. You also notice he has a flash drive, so maybe he made a copy. You never know. So but he's like, oh crap, I gotta delete it. So in the spring cleaning process for him is getting rid of files that are top secret or NDA. It could be the NDA people that you'll see that actually show up with the dialogue, and it's like, he's over there. It could be Andrew coming like, why you got that file open, that's classified, stuff like that. So but I wanted to more so like show kind of the desperation of you're trying to basically hide, and he's looking over really his cubicle, and it's just like, oh crap, they're coming. So he's trying to hit the delete button as fast as possible, waiting for the process to happen, knocks over his coffee because he's so like flustered, kind of thing. And so he works for Projexis, so they probably would have some secret information about people's physiology and things of that nature. And so it's not accessible to the public, which is why he's deleting it, because maybe he saw some things he wasn't supposed to see, and maybe he saw some things that couldn't be revealed yet, but no one will ever know because he's deleting the file.
He's deleting the files and then putting them on Brian's flash drive.
Yes, yeah, right. So it's his spring cleaning. As you notice, he has a Yaira poster in the background. He's a fan, but yeah, more so along the lines of just telling a story, man. Something different, something unique. I always like to push myself, trying different expressions and stuff like that, because a picture is worth 1,000 words, as they say. And whether there's dialogue or not, the whole goal is to be able to show something happening. And I really wanted to show like the desperation in his face. Also tried to light it in a way that you could tell that it's fairly dark, or it could be like a light above or something like that shining down, and he's just kind of getting rid of those files before he gets caught. So yeah, that's the story behind it. So
it kind of looks like Marcos. Marcos is trying to delete all the Rippaverse secrets off of his
PC. Sketch. Trying to delete them.
He's deleted. Yeah, that should have been the Eric sketch right there. That was a missed opportunity.
I was going to say, deleting it.
Yep.
Like, I'm not the whistleblower.
That is a perfect opportunity right there. That's fantastic, brother. That's a lot of fun. What are y'all's thoughts, gents?
Go
I
first.
made it literally a comic, by the way. Sorry, Eigor.
Oh, go ahead.
I just said I love how he made it literally a comic, down from text to even the tap effect on the laptop.
Thanks, man.
But yeah, man, you never cease to impress me with your shading, because his shirt is amazing. Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
it's freaking amazing. And I don't know what Andrew's talking about. It doesn't look like me at all. I don't. The hair
kind of does.
I was like, loose.
The hair's a little longer in that one.
Just because I have glasses don't mean.
Everybody with glasses looks the same. Look, nobody can tell the difference between me, you, Eigor, and Kanan. All right?
We're all the same. Yeah.
Wait.
All a bunch of 4 eyes over here.
Right.
You've seen one, you've seen them all.
With the glasses crew.
Just change the hair length.
All right.
Right.
Slightly
like Dragon
different.
Ball, same face and just change the hair.
All right. We'd have to start with Kanan, then go Marcos,
You're
then
right,
go me,
yeah.
and then Igor.
Gradient.
Yeah. What about you, brother? What are your thoughts on this piece?
Yeah, like
By your
Marcus said,
colleague.
I really like the render. Like Kanan is always great with that. Like
Thank you.
I was thinking like when you were drawing, like because your sketches are already very loose, like but
Mhm.
you know everything, like you know where everything goes. Like the proportions are always on point.
Thank you.
Because I'm assuming you practice it so much that you
A
know
little bit.
like where to put everything. But yeah,
He knows where to have the
it's-
guns held out in front.
yeah, because usually, like for me, if I pencil something, especially if it is something like that needs like more precision or different pose or an angle, I need to like actually draw the mannequin and everything. Like I'm not there yet, like in terms of like drawing all the details on point, and that's something that I struggle with when the process is too loose. Maybe I end up having to correct and change a lot of things because the proportions wrong ends up being wrong. So it's good to see like when what study gets you, like what studying gets you to this point, like where you don't need to, like you kind of know your way around it already, like you don't need to structure your drawing so much before you ink. And like also the shadows, like the shadows on his face is like, oh, when you first see it, like the black going over it, and it's like, yeah, that's bold, but then when you light everything around it, like it contrasts very well. So it's really cool to see. Like that adds drama to it.
It was a process, man. It's always I say a catch-22, man, when artists go for this type of rendering style, because for a while doing it, my like the shadows and darks and the blacks I would add was like really heavy, and so there was a time where I didn't have a lot of shadow. It was basically line art, and so it was like around, I think, 2023 that I kind of like shifted to doing like more of a line art style, just to learn how to let the lines breathe, and then eventually gravitated back to the shadow style because I like it. But now it's more comprehensive because I understand that I had to understand that the shadow was to accent and to show the form. And I knew that, but sometimes you get into a mode of just rendering things and the cross hatching, and even when the cross hatching wasn't random, there's still a point where you can do too much.
Yeah,
and it looks
definitely
muddy, heavy, and bulky, and it loses its form. But being able to really let the line breathe, and then let the shadows be an accent or a bonus or an addition to, is kind of what you want when you're rendering in this type of style. The blacks shouldn't be the shadows shouldn't be the ones that dominate the image all the time. It should be places where your eye can rest, and that takes time. It takes time to learn, and also, you mentioned rather than drawing the mannequin, drawing gestorial is something that I focused on trying to learn, because sometimes when I would do kind of build the mannequin, your characters can look static and stiff.
Yeah.
But when you learn how to draw gestorially, you not only build the form, but you capture the movement of the character, and it stays even to the final project, final piece. So anime is good at doing that. A lot of some of the veterans that you see are good at, like, almost like they just capture the moment. Like you could feel the energy. There's this picture of Magneto, and it was the first time I ever seen anybody draw him like that. But usually he's got his arms out, and then he's floating, legs kind of spread, and he's got the little magnetic orb around him. Well, the one that I saw, and I can't remember who the artist was, but it was Magneto, and he was just like, and his hands was to his side, and he's just kind of like, and they were low, his leg was kind of squat, and like all around him was like debris and metal and stuff. I was like, man, and like they really captured like the ferocity, and then two, him actually, you felt like he was destroying whatever he was destroying, and they captured it in one image, and that's always the goal. Well, what I try to do, whether it be, pieces like this, covers, posters, capture the moment. You should feel like you're there.
Yeah.
You should feel the desperation and all that stuff, within the piece. And so, it takes time to learn
People
that.
forget that. That's actually a really poignant thing. It's important to not have a character be static. I feel like we talked about this last episode, where you can have a character who is maybe not in motion, but they still don't look static.
Yep.
Right? It doesn't look like it's just flat. They're just a statue there. Like this character, this picture right here, this piece, it's not like this is some, meant to be some dynamic like running piece or flying or something, really action oriented, but at the same time there's still energy in it. And that's important. And you can feel the energy there, and that's something that a lot of artists struggle with, even good ones. Like there are a lot of really good artists that like they can do a really fantastic pose, but like a lot of the other stuff that should be much more dynamic seems a little more static. So that's a really good point.
You can learn to, if you don't have a action scene, for example, if for artists that are drawing sequential pages, whoever listening to this, you may have a page where it's just talking heads. To give emotion, that's where you have to really focus on the character's expression. Show the emotion. And
it's all up here.
Exactly. Animators are good for that, and taking that same mindset, same type of thinking, and applying that to a 2D image. Which is why I wanted to really show kind of exaggerated expression, because no, he's not doing a lot. He's essentially just kind of turning and looking over his shoulder, but you get the sense that he's looking for somebody, almost like when you're like, like crap, like I can't get it, delete it in time kind of thing. And so showing the eyebrows raised, the crinkles, sweating, the gripping of the chair, aggressively, the hard tap on the little trackpad, everybody's been there when you're trying to not necessarily delete, things you shouldn't have, but just, the frustration when, technology doesn't work the way you want it, when you want it. And then
start slamming your finger down on
exactly. And then you got the spilled cup of coffee. So you got that to deal with too. So
that's those nice details. Yeah, those nice details add a lot. Especially for me and Andrew, like wasting coffee. It's like,
I know. In his haste, he's committing.
Really shows the
desperation.
Sin.
Cardinal sin being committed there. Great piece, brother. Absolutely fantastic.
Really good.
Thanks, guys.
That is a great piece, guys. At the end of going through all three time lapses, we'll pull up a graphic that'll have all three of them on the screen at once, and we'll leave that up for a few moments while we chat, so that you guys can pick your favorite and then vote in the chat. So do not forget about that. Voting is a thing. And Igor, did you take back your title last month?
I actually did.
He did.
Yeah.
The horseman piece,
the
right,
horseman piece did it. All right.
He pulled a John Cena.
The late
road.
Yeah, it was my late delivery, right?
All right, now I'm gonna pull up Marcos's next.
Nice.
That's what I'm gonna do here. Marcos is fun. When he told me the idea for it, I was like, "Oh yes, please."
Yeah.
Totally fits the story, man.
We had a couple.
Here we go. All right, Marcos, take us through it. It's not 52 and a half seconds this time.
Oh, no.
I gave it the full. It was 5 minutes. I was surprised.
That's okay.
But,
That's okay.
Yeah. For this one, I wanted to go with something more cartoony than I've been doing lately. I mean, it still got semi-realism here and there on the characters, but I wanted something more funny.
Yeah.
And it's spoilers, by the way, for anybody that hasn't read Blood Roof #1. This is basically an inside joke, because by the end of the story, it's established that Blood Roof's told Crowley here that he should not be allowed to basically summon anything, no demons, no little monsters or nothing, because he was kind of the reason behind the stuff that happened in the book a little bit
Yeah.
regarding the demons. And yeah, they're cleaning the castle, and Crowley probably thought, you know what, I'm gonna just summon a little bit of help behind her back. She won't notice. I'll clean. There's a lot to clean. And then lo and behold, did he notice? Blood was waiting right behind him, spot him right on. And then you got the little I don't know what to call them. I guess little like devils. They
The
explode
little
on the
imps.
screen.
Uh-huh.
The
Yeah.
imps.
The
Yeah, that's the
little
word.
imps.
Just dusting off the books and stuff. And yeah, I thought it'd be a fun piece. Originally it was gonna do something with Santuan and Darren, but like what cleaning the club or something, or throwing some people out like he did with Nice. But I ultimately decided to do this instead. This seemed more fun, and a lot of stuff has been done about or with the castle, or I mean, it's kind of new, I guess. But I also wanted to showcase a little bit more about Crowley, because he's a new character introduced,
Right.
and but yeah, it kind of looked like a reset for a second, but it's just probably because I
Because
started
they're
drawing
inking
twice.
now. Yeah. You're used
Yeah, I was
to
detailing.
the like 50-second.
Yeah,
thing.
you're adding
Yeah.
the
I'm
details
used
now.
to the 50.
You think it's taking too long, but it isn't.
Yeah, no.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, it's nice to see I love the render on their hair, like the attention to detail there. It's really good.
I actually especially like the details they added to the imp in the upper left hand corner. Like its
Very good,
facial
yeah.
expression is like super fun.
Gold, yeah. That's actually my favorite
they're
part
not.
about the piece, like the imp on the top, like the design and everything. Like you can see
Top one.
you can see the concept art being like, oh, I'm gonna be a little cartoony with this and having fun. Like you know that Marcus had fun with that though.
You can tell it
That's
clearly
really
has that oh shoot expression.
Yeah.
Right?
Sorry if you can hear the roosters again.
You're good.
It's all right.
But I think I wasn't even gonna add in from the start. I was gonna add like I think maybe it was one like a ghost or something.
Mm.
But I thought it'd be kind of funnier or funner to have a bunch of little things like on theme with the story. Like he doesn't want to summon anything big and noticeable. He summoned like a bunch of little creatures. But yeah, and then I had to make Sydney, look a little bit menacing, because
Hmm.
you know, if you read the story, she's kind of feisty when it came to talking with Crowley, with good
Mhm.
reason.
The instructions
And
were very specific.
Yeah.
yeah,
they were very, very specific. And the way you
yeah,
did Sydney here is fantastic.
I had to give her the glowing eyes. Yeah, and I
That's my
decided to give
favorite
the
bit.
imps. Yeah, I decided to give the imps like red coloring, because when at first they were going to be white, but it wasn't really contrasting well with the background. It looked too I don't know, mixed in. I decided to give it color. And since
Mhm.
we're not doing color for these, I felt like, well, it's kind of appropriate to maybe have a little bit of color, just to differentiate some of those details or elements.
Mhm.
A good idea.
And
Yeah.
Charlie's expression, of course, he's like, oh, the little imp is telling him like, "Oh, watch out, we
She's over
spotted." Like, oh,
She's here.
Almost
Run.
get that vibe of like what? He's like, she's over there. She's here.
yeah, he's the only one that doesn't have a like little broom. He's just pointing out, just watching out for him.
Yeah. He's the lookout.
That's his
Yeah.
job.
Now's the job. It's too late now. Like the glowing red eyes, I love it. Like you don't see her face, you just see the glowing red eyes.
Hmm.
Like very cool. Reminds me of
The
like
sweat.
the disturbed old covers. Like you wouldn't
Oh,
see the
yeah.
author's face, just the features. Like menacing look. It's really cool.
Absolutely.
I like doing the funny elements of like adding the sweat coming out of the
Mm.
imps. Like,
Mhm.
just stressing out.
I was
Oh
saying,
boy.
you've added that kind of that almost like manga element to it, because they do a lot of the chibi, or they'll change the shape of somebody, or like I said, add them little beads of popping sweat, or emotions and stuff. So you definitely feel the kind of energy and even the tension in this. That's dude, his jacket, dude, is crazy good. I just want to put it out there, like that. The detail of the shirt, the jacket, like you said, you did a good job blending the realism and the cartoon elements, and even though the highlights you added, on his jacket, because a lot of times when people render clothing, myself included, sometimes they add too many wrinkles and folds, and it starts like okay, it's not, unless it's like super thin cashmere, it doesn't wrinkle super, multi-million wrinkles, and it's like, dude, like you can't even move in that. So, but like if it's a jacket, it's not going to wrinkle as much. It's going to have some give and some resistance. So good job on that, man. Good job.
Something I've actually been noticing lately of the past year, because I look at a lot of reference for many of the concept arts, because I draw a lot of guys suits, jackets, and
I hadn't noticed that.
looking at real pictures, that they have their jackets barely have any wrinkles and stuff.
Yeah.
So I've been kind of learning from that. It's really helpful.
Yeah, excellent piece, brother. Excellent piece. I genuinely love this one. I also like that all of the imps are more like concerned than Crowley is. Crowley's just kind of like, huh? And it's because he doesn't know yet. Like the imp's just like pointing that way, but you can tell, and that the moment he actually turns around and sees Sydney,
second,
then it's like, oh no, yeah.
I also like the attention to background. Like I'm always gonna compliment that, and I forgot to talk about that with like the Kanan's piece, but like how important that is, even if it is just like some elements. When you want to tell a story, like it doesn't have to be a lot, but having those elements there, like to me, it's unacceptable to have an entire like comic book page without background, without anything like to situate the characters, because people complain about like in movies the shake cam era of like back when we had like the Bourne movies. But that's the main problem, is that you don't have reference, you don't have a background to reference yourself, like everything's shaking all the time, and that's kind of like how some comic books look like when you don't have a background. You don't realize because your camera isn't actually moving, but the fact that you don't have a reference ruins action. Which is counterintuitive in some ways, because people think like, oh, background can be dynamic or interesting or something like that, but it actually plays a part in like showing where the scene takes place. Like this scene, and so that informs it
informs the reader, like, hey, like I don't know, this knockdown drag off fight is going down in the middle of, I don't know, a restaurant or in the middle of the street, right? Like, well, that actually raises the stakes, because now there are things you can infer. Oh, well, like other people could get involved and caught up in the action, in the violence. There are other things that either one of the combatants could get thrown into, right? So it's part of the storytelling, as long as it doesn't take away and distract from what your focal point is. But good artists know how to make sure that the eye is drawn towards what the focal point should be.
I think that and it's when you add elements of background, it's something that's familiar to the reader, so it makes them engage. Like books, car, buildings. Even if it's not a city that exists, we know Forest Park is within the Rippaverse, but Sydney's house, it's her home, but people know books. They know the door swinging and the wall and the carpet, ground, like all those different elements. So you don't feel like you're just floating in space or in somewhere that doesn't have any root in something that could be reality. You're not, and you're not detached, you're actually invested, because it's just our minds just are trained to see things that we understand and we know, and when you don't see that, sometimes it can be a disconnect and then they're just like, I don't understand any of this. You know?
Yeah. It's always cool, right? Like everyone loves drawing the characters
Right.
and the action scenes and everything, but
Sure.
they forget that. And then at the end, you feel like it's missing something, right? Like you
Yeah.
don't know. Oh, I can be as cool as like Kanan doing something like that. Yeah, maybe it's because you're not like telling the story the way you want it. It's more than just the rendering and the why not. It's like
It all goes
there's more
hand in hand.
stuff about it. Yeah.
Yep.
It's really cool, Marcus. I really like this one. Like the
His
imps are great.
craftsmanship is getting better and better too.
Yeah.
But you know,
Like-
Kanan like renders the background even if it's like he doesn't have to. You know, he's every single
Yeah.
detail. So
It's,
That's
it's
really good.
definitely a balance, man, because you can over render. If, like I said before, I think I said in the last stream and a couple of streams, what if your character is detailed in the foreground, the background should be almost nothing. It should be very simple.
Yeah.
If they're sharing space, then you definitely want to accentuate the background and let that be, especially if you're trying to establish a shot.
Mhm.
The background is just as important as the figures in it, but you don't want to have an ultra detailed character up close and then an ultra detailed background and then an ultra detailed middle ground, and then like everything is just like screaming detail, and it doesn't give the
Right.
eye a chance to be like,
Yeah.
okay, where do I look?
Especially if it's black and white, like
Yep.
without gradient and stuff, like it's
Yep.
nightmare. Well, you know what would be cool? We could bring like pieces from when we're like Marcus is pretty
yes.
young, but like we could bring some old pieces to show, because every time
Yeah.
I'm talking about it, I'm like, yeah, these are the mistakes I've made, and I still make sometimes. So yeah, that would be cool. I would be down to bring some old pages of mine, like 10-year-old or something like that.
It's just crazy.
Yeah, because those mistakes that you're mentioning, like those are all the stuff that I was doing back then, and I'm still
Yeah.
just-
talk about you.
yeah,
Dude, I mean, but that's every young artist, man. And he said even when you're seasoned, man, like sometimes you just get into a default and you just like, oh, okay, I'm gonna just this XYZ. But there's
You can
times
fall into
where-
a bit of overkill.
exactly. It's just like, dude, I know how to do this. Like, what am I doing? This is after you've done it for a while, but you still
you
have to-
mentioned something. Yeah, you mentioned something about your page, like about your piece. You're like, oh, this is something that I know, and then sometimes like about the rendering, like
Yeah.
I know about this, and then you have to take a step back and
Yep.
really think about it, because when you're learning something, you really need to think about that, because otherwise you're gonna rely on the old stuff that you know.
Yeah.
And then like some people, when they're studying, they're worried about like the results, and that's
Mhm.
what doesn't help, because you're not thinking about the process, right? Like you stop thinking about the process, and then you start thinking like you would before
Yeah.
you were studying, and then you don't learn anything because you're relying on your old like mistakes that you've like assimilated and turned into like the part of your job that you want to change, but
Right.
people are afraid of change, right? Like, so you rely on those, like you have to
Or you're trying
actively,
to hide them.
yeah, you
Trying to hide
actively think about
Yeah.
the stuff that you have to do.
I
Has
mean,
to be
honestly,
an active process.
every artist does, man. There's mistakes they hide, and
Yeah.
it's the weak spots they still grow and they still learn, and I think you're ever growing. So
Yeah,
to
yeah,
you
for sure.
young artists out there, man, don't get frustrated if stuff still may seem longer than it should, or the perspective may be a little skewed. Like, you're always learning, man. I mean, just how
Yeah.
like life changes in reality, so is your art. It should always grow. It
Mhm.
should always get better. And
For sure.
don't try to perfect. Just get better.
Try to make the next piece better.
Yep.
All right. Speaking of the next piece, we will end it with Eigor's.
Hey.
That's cool. Dude.
Go. Brax. Everybody loves Brax.
Famous car.
Yeah.
Right? Hey,
Infamous
what happened to that car? I love how it's shit. We'll let him tell it. We'll let him tell it. Otherwise, I'm just gonna freaking go off right now. All right, brother, take us through it.
All right. So I was trying a different angle. The idea is Braxwell was taking the cab, yellow car that Isom was gently put in by Yair on Isom number 1. Like, yeah, he was dropped and landed on a car. So I was like, yeah, that would be cool, like to have someone remove the car, and that would count as cleaning, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I started making it in this angle, and then I changed. because I didn't think it was dynamic enough. I ended up with a kind of a similar angle. Yeah, and then I changed this. I wanted a more dynamic perspective for the car. And yeah, you're gonna see a lot of mistakes here because this was like a tricky position for me. I wanted something dynamic, but then the size of where the camera is put didn't allow me to have a big figure.
Yeah,
And that's something that you have to deal with, like because Brexo is too big, and then I erase and I go again, and it's like doesn't look right. So you have to do it again and again until like look for reference and stuff like that. Couldn't find someone holding a car over their shoulder, so that was a bummer. That's the type of like reference that you don't get to have.
yeah,
You
But
can't just
yeah,
Google that, yeah.
yeah, no, you Google like everyone's lazy. No one wants to lift a car over their
lifting
back.
cars up.
It's just a pity. But yeah, there are actually some lessons that people could learn from this and mistakes that I've made because I didn't properly set up a perspective grid. This is like a kind of a 3-point perspective. So I had to change the perspective on the car because it wasn't going the way I wanted. And you're going to see me erasing a lot of lines and doing it again, and then doing more grid for the background when I start drawing it because I didn't properly set up the perspective. So do that first when you're doing it. Like if you're going to have a scene that has like extreme perspective, don't rely on your own eyes because they're going to deceive you. Like if you have 3-point, 2-point perspective, set up your vanishing points, even if it is like just the horizon line and perspective and vanishing points. Yeah. So you don't run into the problems that I had, where I had to change a lot of what I was doing. But yeah, you live and learn. And yeah, so I wanted to kind of tell a funny story with like the shape of ice on top of the car, the texture of the broken glass that I'm gonna add later. I was struggling with Braxwell there, and then fixing him, trying to go over the helmet, and
Nice.
it was looking a little bit too big because I think it would actually look big because it has to fit his whole head inside it.
Right.
But then when you draw it, it kind of looks too big because it's an entire helmet and you're just supposed to show the bottom of his face. So you need to play around a little bit with the realism and kind of cheat your way out of it. So I ended up like reducing it a couple of times. So I think back when Mark Millar was commenting on the Ultimate, he mentioned that like Iron Man's helmet doesn't make sense in the comics because it's too small for his head.
Yeah.
Because it looks proportional. And then he made like into a proper like biker helmet.
Yeah.
That was too big, and then you look at it and it's like, oh, that's a massive head, but it's like a proper helmet, right? Like when you see people on bikes, they don't look like proportionate, like, right? So you have to cheat a little bit and kind of play around with what you can get away with and kind of look for fresh with a fresh set of eyes. That's why it's good to have enough time to play with your pieces so you can see your own mistakes. But yeah, it was, to me, it was more about shape language in this one, like the jacket and everything, negative space. I was trying to figure out a way to simplify my drawing and have it like be cool. I've been looking a lot at artists like Dan Moore and Jorge Jimenez. So I'm trying to learn a little bit with them, like how they play like with the simple shapes. Even Brett Booth does that like really well. So yeah, I'm really trying to learn like how to simplify my drawing so I can enjoy it more, because I don't like how when I worry too much about realism, I feel like my drawing doesn't have enough energy. You're talking about like the gestural side of things. I feel like I lose a lot when I'm thinking about like realism too much. So I need to find that middle ground. Oh, there you go. That's me going over the perspective grid that I didn't make before because I was having trouble with the buildings behind me. I was like, God damn, that window doesn't look right. Like, yeah, moron. You didn't set up your perspective the correct way. That's why it looks
Detailed the
weird.
buildings. You detailed the buildings manually, huh?
Yeah,
Good
I
job.
did.
It's
Yeah,
really hard
thanks.
to do, like buildings
Which
like that
is
before.
Thanks, but you use Clip Studio, you know that like that they have the best like perspective rulers in the game.
They
Like
do.
there's
They do.
they,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
just needed to set that up. Like that's all I needed to do, and I didn't. Like that's stupid of me.
I mean,
Use
even the
your
eye
rulers.
it, man, to like you did is like Marco said, that's pretty impressive, man. Like that's
Thanks.
it's not even the windows, and I'm like taking notes.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay,
I really like. I say that all the time, but I really like drawing background. Like I
it's
really
so
like
good,
that.
man. Actually, it's
Yeah,
like
you're like the only one. Igor's a unicorn among artists.
you're right.
It adds so
He's
much,
another
man.
No, that's
Because
really
this
like
piece
detail.
would be boring without it, like without the city behind him.
Hmm.
It's
I
really
like
fun.
the rendering, the texture you did on the car,
yeah.
Oh, thanks.
on the doors on the side,
The
and the glass.
and
My favorite part is freaking Avery's like plant
Cartoon shape.
impact.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's so Looney Tunes, and I'm just absolutely here for it. It's like that is not what would happen, and I love it.
Yeah,
It's
obviously
the-
that
It's
wouldn't
comics, you know. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be one-to-one
The driver-
realism, right?
I wonder if the driver's still in the car.
happen. Yeah, everyone's getting
Right.
taken off. I
Right.
mentioned in the chat, I was gonna draw like Avery on top of it, like being taken to the hospital or something like that. But that was like, no, it's too much work. Like that's kind of.
It's really good.
But I really
Incentive
like
of
this.
Brackville.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. And I like the little detailing and lighting play that you did on the visor, on Braxwell's visor. Like Braxwell's a
Yeah,
super popular character. Like people want more of him.
It is.
He was my favorite before like we had Horseman, so I always liked drawing him. Like Alpha Core is still like my favorite campaign to have worked on. Like all the pieces that I could work on that had Braxwell. Like I got to design Braxwell's shirt. It was like so amazing to get to do that.
Yeah. And that
It's
shirt's
really fun.
sold out, I think.
Yeah, that was a fun one to do. Like but yeah, that it was fun. Like I like drawing this one. The idea of like the cleaning. I'm happy with the pieces that we've made. I think they're all telling a story. We're getting good at like telling stories with this. It's not just like poses or something like that. I like the way the podcast evolved into this. Like we're playing around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's practice if we get any y'all on some interiors, right?
I love the fact that and it's I guess it's obvious, but still he feels weightless. He actually feels like he's flying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or even floating. Or like even like in a down descent, like a slow descent, whatever. But that is very well done. Like it's you've implied it well, and like it feels like because I mean people they draw people flying, man, and it still looks like they're either on the ground or even when they're landing, it feels like they're floating. So, but I think you did a good job, man, of just showing that aspect of him actually carrying the car, and even just the nonchalant expression is just totally Braxwell, man. He's just like, yeah, this is what I do. It's like a man of few words, if at all.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I
job.
think he's the one character we have that's spoken the least in the entire like.
Oh, for sure.
book so
Yeah,
far.
I think so. Yeah, out of the
And
main
he's very
characters, for sure.
With like his origin was just like he talked too much, and so everybody was like, "Shut up!" And so finally he got older. It was like, "I'm not
smacked him up.
saying anything."
We one shut up, and then like he got sad about
Yeah,
the
right.
comments. I was like, no, I'm gonna be stoic now.
All right,
I'm gonna be,
He got
very
bullied.
serious.
oath of
He got
silence.
bullied, yeah. I really like the
that's,
character.
that's fun. That's a really fun piece, Igor. I dig it a lot.
Thanks.
Great work, man. Any other thoughts on this piece, Marcos? Kanan?
I laughed out loud the first time immediately when I saw the piece because of the imprint of Avery.
Yeah,
on top.
Avery's imprint.
I literally laughed out loud when I saw it the first time.
It feels like bent metal too. Like the frame is
Mhm.
like the frame is
Yeah.
busted. It's not like okay, like you don't know, like you can tell, like you understand in the glass, man. Dude, I still struggle like showing like cracked glass, cracked glass and impact circles on the ground when people hit. Like
They are hard.
certain people just get
hard.
it, man, and this is definitely like it feels like glass. It doesn't feel like cracked rock or anything. He did a good job showing that. So yeah,
Thanks.
that's my final thoughts.
That's a good point. That it's probably easy to like do that kind of impact detailing well, but for the wrong material,
Yes.
right? Or it's like this would look great if they had impacted concrete or if they had impacted dirt or something else, right? But like it's not going to look the same when they impact steel, impact glass, right? Every single material is going to react differently due to its its elemental properties. So that's actually a really good point.
Kind of all goes back to. Oh, go ahead, Marcus. Let's.
So I was just gonna say that glass. I've noticed glass chattering or cracking like that. It looks more often like a spider web. It's very like it's got like a point, like a center, and it spikes in directions. I'm sorry, that's just what I noticed. That's
But it goes back to what Kanan was mentioning about your piece, Marcus, because of the form. Because I think everything goes back to like being able to depict form and like be it with line work or shadows or anything, and texture is a part of that, right? Like you're talking about like drawing suits and how you realize that the fabric doesn't kind of fold the same way as like a silk shirt or wood or something like that. And it's when you're drawing, you have a limited amount of resources you're gonna have to use to depict everything regarding like different materials and form and how like impact works in it, or wind, or like how the folds rest on the body. So like everything, I feel like everything is about form, and that's one of the hardest parts of drawing something, like the being able to like depict that in a smart way where you can differentiate like the different materials. That's really hard, especially when you can have color or paint like that's really hard.
You rely on texture and like you said, texture and shadow and stuff like that to kind of replace the color. But
no, well done, brother. Ladies and gentlemen of the chat, these are your three pieces. I'll leave them up for a second, though I will bring them back up. We are going to shift gears here into checking out this month's guest piece, which is a fan art piece here. And I will get that ready right over here. Cool. Okay. Is this really fun piece, actually? That
when you put it like that, it looks kind of reminds me like a newspaper section, just showcasing different scenes of crimes.
Old school
because it's all black and white.
The comic strips.
Yeah.
Be young enough to remember those in the newspaper. That's old enough to remember.
I don't think Marcus has seen the newspaper. Like
they don't have newspapers anymore.
I keep joking that he's too young. He's not that young.
I may thank you, but
it just looks young.
Oh, he's young. Here we go. All right, cool.
I remember the first Game Boy too. So.
All right, let's pull this up. This is a piece by Roberto Villacara. As a member of our Discord server, as well as one of our fans on social media. So this is Gooding. This is a really cool perspective, and I imagine not an easy one by any stretch to get right. And what it looks like is that Gooding just finished, I don't know, like cleaning his giant robot, right?
Yeah.
Like every guy wants a giant robot, and so Gooding understands this. Kato values his giant robot, and so he made sure to clean it. He gave a little spot polish there, right? A little detailing. So Kanan, Marcos, Eigor, what do y'all think? What's y'all's breakdown of this piece? I think it's a really fun piece.
It is. It definitely gives. I mean, it does exactly what it's supposed to, man. Like the majesty of the mech, and then having the like shine over the shoulder, dude, is like, you can feel like, in real life, you get the ambient light from that type of thing, where it's just things are darker because the light's from behind, but they still did it in a way that you can still see, what the mech is, but then also like the perspective of where Gooding is to the mech, you get a sense of scale.
Mm-hmm.
You get to know exactly how big that mech is. And then you look at the drones, and everybody's seen the drones before, so you know their size. So this mech has some significant height. But the Gooding's face, his expression, just the confidence is like a job well done, or another day's work, kind of thing. Like, yep, well, all right, then to the next thing. Got his hose over the shoulder, So I love really everything about this, man. Like it was a daring pose. Like most people, like you mentioned, Andrews, it's not easy to do, especially a worm's eye view from something like this and maintain like all the elements. But I think he pulled it off, really well. Even the anatomy, not just on the mech, but like even Gooding, like his hand holding the hose, his nose, facial expressions, the upshot from the chin, which is also not an easy thing to do, especially when it's an extreme, because you have basically the vanishing point was slightly above the edge of the paper document, so everything's like pyramiding toward that shine.
Yeah.
And I mean,
it makes me think of like an ending shot in a Gundam episode, right? We
Yeah,
got the sun behind one of the mechs, right? This could be out of Gundam Wing, which is my favorite. And it could have, I could picture Hero walking away from Wing Zero, right? As the sun setting behind it in the sky.
And there's a purpose, right? Like to the shot. It's not just like it obviously is to be cool, but like it shows everything that you need. Because you can think about like how would you show like Gooding's expression and the size of the mech and the drones and everything. There are very few ways where you would like be able to show everything in relation to each other like this, because you get like we're talking about like the background, you get everything that you need from this piece, because you know where you are, what you're looking at, and the size of things like comparatively to one another. And it's really cool, because when you want to show something imposing or big or menacing, that's usually how you do.
Gotta have an
kind
angle.
of the triumph of everything. Like, and when you want to like reduce your hero or show like threat or something like that, you show it from above, like a predator or something like that.
Ground.
And and then Gooding would be like an ant compared to this. You wouldn't be able to see his face or something like that, which can be cool.
If you drew like Gooding standing up front and you want to draw the mech, it'd be like a giant leg next to him. So it wouldn't look.
And then you could lose the reference of how big it actually is, depending on how you pose them. So this is a really good choice.
You could lose that sense of scale if you're not careful.
It's bold because it's difficult.
It's a good balance between, like you mentioned, like even emphasizing the mech, but at the same time you showcase the Gooding, but it's like they're not fighting with each other. It's like hard to, I guess, explain it, but it's like a smooth push and pull between the two. Like they're sharing space, balancing it well, but you still understand that the mech is the focus, but then you get the the aspect of, you also understand that Gooding is also important in the piece, but he's not dominating the shot. So Yeah,
It's framed very well too. Like
yes.
it looked like a cover. You could put the title
Yeah,
right up
yeah.
top. It'd make perfect sense.
Number one cover for sure. Like shows the
Yeah.
character,
Yeah.
shows something about them, shows what they're doing. You have some intrigue. Yeah, it's really good.
The
composition.
perspective and the light is all going up, pointing upwards.
Yep.
So you would see the
Mhm.
title as well. It's really
Very
great.
good.
It's really good.
Yeah, this would
Yeah.
work really well for a cover. You'd have to shift just a teeny bit, so
Yeah.
you know,
little
artists and
bit.
not liking to
Right.
leave space for the
What did he say? Bleeds.
bleeds, man. But no, like this could absolutely be a cover piece
Yeah.
for sure.
Uh,
Great work,
I think-
Roberto.
Yeah.
I keep
If I
thinking
would-
about Optimus Prime. Sorry.
yeah,
Transformer when I see
definitely.
this.
No, yeah, it definitely like the design of the mech gives off heavy Transformer vibes.
Kind of looks
You
like
know what?
Shark.
And the shot itself gives me like Gundam vibes.
Yes.
I wasn't a big
Yeah.
like Transformers kid, at all. Like the first contact that I had was like toys and then the movies. So this makes me think about like do you guys remember Mega's XLR or something like that? I don't know. It's a Cartoon Network cartoon. It was really fun and kind of gives me that vibe because the mech didn't have a head. And then the guy replaced it with a car, like a Mustang or something like that, and kind of makes me think about that because we can see the head of the mech. It's kind of
Right.
cool. Like maybe think about that instantly. The one suggestion I would make is actually reduce the amount of detail on Gooding's face. Maybe the blacks, like the black parts,
Yeah.
just a tiny bit, like less strong lines around everything because it makes him look a little bit older.
Looks
But other
it
than
makes
that-
him look like late middle age
Yeah.
or something
or
like
very
that.
tired, like I
How long
usually
it took them
am.
to build that?
Yeah, you got some
Yeah,
heavy
yeah.
yeah, right.
Yeah, those. Yeah,
You got some heavy lines going on
Lines,
here.
Smile lines. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and over up here near the eyes, yeah.
Mhm.
So
Just
that
yeah,
right there
that-
does make him look a bit older.
Yeah, but other than that, like it's awesome piece. I love the like kind of washed tones
Yeah.
over everything. Like makes it look like a traditional when we were
Traditional piece,
like
yeah.
ink wash. Yeah,
Dry
ink
brush.
wash and everything. Yeah, dry brush. Yeah,
Yep.
looks great. I really like this cover.
Is it-
It's not a cover,
was it
but it could be.
Yeah, was it actually digital? Do we know?
I think so because the dry brush looks very uniform. Like if you compare
Yeah.
one to another,
Mhm.
kind of looks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I would bet on digital, but I could be wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't believe
but
he
it's really
mentioned
cool.
whether or not it was digital or traditional, but
Mhm.
Yeah.
either way it looks great. So
Yeah.
it
thank
really
you for
does.
submitting that piece, Roberto. Great work. Hopefully this set the standard. So
Yes, it did.
for the next one, which by the way, speaking of, how's that for a segue? The next one, which will be for the episode that will air at the end of May. The deadline is going to be May 20th. So write that down. I will make a post on social media. You want to turn in your piece to me. So Andrew at Rippaverse.com. Send it to me in an email. If you are part of the Discord server, you can tag me there as well, but I'd like to have them all in one centralized place. It's just a lot easier with everything else that I got to keep track of that way. So that's what I'm going to request. It is going to be a Memorial Day piece. So have it be either Memorial Day directly or something that you could kind of tie into it or relatively similar in theme. Obviously, we try to keep it a little broad so that you have a little more creative freedom to play with, right? Because that's more fun. So 520 Andrew at Rippaverse.com. Roberto set the bar high. Let's see what you guys got.
Really
Let's see
did.
what you guys got. All right, I'm going to put this piece back up while we get into the one of the last bits. Let's have the gentlemen talk about what each of their favorite pieces is. We'll go kind of semi-rapid fire here. One of the favorite pieces that they have created this year specifically. That could be a character design. That could be a prompt piece from one of the episodes of the podcast. It could be a cover. It could be an online graphic. It could be a t-shirt design, poster design, whatever it is. What is your favorite piece that you have done this year? Igor, we'll start with you.
My favorite piece for the Rippaverse would be a prompt, but I'm actually going to choose another one because I drew a character that I really liked, and I cannot wait to draw more. It's from Dirty Deeds, Felsiar. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I had to check with Carol, who created
Felsiar is correct.
Yeah, but I really like drawing him. I only got to draw him once, but I actually got to sketch a bunch of poses for him, because the overall, we were talking about like the not only the concept but the idea behind it, like the way he acts. Kanan did a great piece with the poster, and then he's like kind of smooth talking his way with a girl, and I kind of shows the personality of the character in those. For those who got the Rippazine number 3, you get to see him in action, and it's really cool. Like I can't wait to see more of that character. I kept telling everyone to comment on Twitter and like show us if you like the story or not, because that's how we kind of test the waters. And I feel like the Rippazine is great because of that. We did it with Salvage and Sarsha, and now with Dirty Deeds, and I feel like that the whole ensemble of characters is really cool. But like he took the spotlight for me, so I drew him like with jumping with a knife, and had a lot of fun with that, like playing with the light. Awesome. And I really like that one. So that would be my favorite so far. There are a couple of more. We're still early in the year, and we're releasing books like crazy, but yeah. That's the one that takes the spot for me.
Nice. I'm here for it. I like it. I can't even argue. That was a phenomenal piece. Marcos, what about you? What was your favorite piece or design that you've done this year so far?
Yeah, design, because I don't really do much pieces outside of that. But if I were to point out a piece that I really enjoyed so far this year would be the Valentine's prompt that we did. That I did with Bloodroot summoning the pigeon. Summoning her Valentine.
That was a good one.
That was fun.
I enjoyed making that one. It's funny. I did like doing that one. But design wise, I would say it's not really a new character. It's somebody from Great War, which was I designed those a long time ago, actually last year. But I had to go through some newer designs for the second part, which still involve the same character, and that would be. And that's one of the chicks involved in one of the covers for Great War 2. She's the one with the machine gun. I really enjoyed designing her because she's got these aside from the metal parts of her suit, she's got these weird mix of colors with the purple, the black, and the gray. Well, not weird, but it pops out to me, and I really enjoyed designing her. Chuck didn't really have anything for her. He just told me make her look like she's wearing some cool armor with a machine gun. I was like, okay, fine. And
he gave you a lot of creative freedom on that one.
Nothing. There was nothing there. It's just, okay, her name, and she has a gun. Okay. And we gave her something that would fit with a machine gun, some metallic armor, and some cool colors.
Nice.
But yeah. And the other one was the one that's wearing blue in that same cover. He's running at the screen. He has like a helmet, more like a biker type of. I really like making her design too. I don't really do a lot of sleeveless designs. Usually the characters I design have like full arm or full body suits. But it was fun, branching out, doing somebody with lacked a little bit of armor, at least for the sleeves. I really like the way that she ended up looking.
Yeah.
You'll find out their powers eventually, but not too much. Andrew's here anyway, so yeah.
Yeah, he is.
India.
Yeah, he is. Kanan, brother.
Yeah.
What about you?
Probably the two newest ones that came out. I think one was the Yaira poster coming out of the water. That was fun.
Oh, for Yaira, that was for Yaira 2.
Yaira
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was a cool one.
that
I like
was
that type of design where
yeah.
a character is like half submerged still.
You
and
know
just
where I learned
coming
that
up.
from, man, or kind of got that from? Michael Turner. He did that a lot with Fathom. And rest in peace, man. He was one of the detail he would do, like just underwater. I was taking my son through some of his art because I don't think he had ever seen it, but he's definitely an inspiration for that type of stuff, like showing the the life below and above water. So Yaira coming out with the trident, man, I think it's probably my favorite poster to date. And then cover wise would be this new Horseman, because when I first did it, I really didn't understand the character. It was kind of like drawing them plain and dry. It's just like just follow the concept and draw what you see. But now getting used to the character, it's like, okay, I get his vibe now. And so being able to show the collage of the various things that happen in the book was pretty awesome, because I wanted to give the movie poster treatment.
Yeah.
I'm doing collages anyway, man. Like it's just kind of a cool way to show everything all at once. But
it also shows a skill in balancing a bunch of characters and pieces and objects in a single piece.
I say composition, man, is everything, especially when you're doing like posters. And I used to do graphic design for probably 8 to 10 years at a church I used to work for. So I was basically graphic designer, video editor, all that type of stuff. But composition is huge. Composition, cinematography, all that stuff used to apply to 2D type stuff as well. Now, not just their actual medium, but even in when you do sequentials and stuff. So anyway, taking those elements, man, and really, like you said, Andrew, making it a balance between all that stuff, taking a whole lot of information. There's artists that do that really well. Olivia Coppell is one of them. He does a good job taking a lot of information and spreading it out on the page. But each element still kind of breathes on its own, but it's still a cohesive picture. And that's always what you want to do, man, when you have the opportunity to kind of do that. And so that Horseman was definitely my favorite cover to date. I've done a lot of them, but those two I think stand out the most.
Okay.
Well, the ones I can talk about.
I ain't even mad.
Dude,
the covers I can
cover
speak.
You did for Yaira 3.
Yeah. You talking about with the trident
amazing,
It's a good piece.
Point out my favorite piece of you. There you go.
Okay. That's actually, you know what? We got a little extra time. What's each of y'all's favorite pieces of each other's from this year? Marcos already started us off with that Yaira 3 cover of Kanan. What about your favorite piece from Eigor? That's
actually hard to say. I would say probably the previous podcast piece with the Horseman. That was one of my. I really like that.
That was a really good one.
Nice.
Yeah.
But by the way, the cover for Kanan is not the only thing. He said cover and he did a poster or another piece. I want to point out his secret poster. That's for Yaira 3.
Oh, yeah.
That's top tier. That's
super cool.
One of my favorite pieces ever done.
Yeah.
It's NDA, but it's secret. You'll see it. You guys will know why I love it.
I wouldn't know nothing about that.
Marcos would probably be your Yaira and Stefania. I feel like that was like the piece, man, that like you really like. I'll say like
The winter one.
yeah, like
Yeah.
that, yeah, like you leveled up like that. That was like you're like the breakout into to what we're seeing like with the stuff you're doing now. Like that was to me was like from Yaira's pose, Stefania's pose, the tension between the two was just like perfect, man. I was like, dude, that's nuts. And I mean, and another one was probably the one with Yaira and Altona because that was crazy too. Detail and the use of the gradients. And
Yeah,
Eigor,
Rippaverse Ctrl+Z.
I believe you did. I'm pretty sure you did that one with Joe and
Oh yeah, that
Chuck.
page.
Yeah. When they were basically conceptualizing the horseman.
Oh,
That seems to be
yeah.
ages ago, man.
Yeah, man.
How
but-
long
yeah,
was that
that
ago?
was-
I didn't remember.
my favorite from Igor has to be probably that's my runner up, but my favorite would have to be Bloodruth. The one that you did with her I think it was for the prompt too.
Oh, that was
The
like our
first one?
wasn't
the
that our
first one.
first prompt?
Yeah, that was.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
that was our
yeah.
first prompt. That one was so good.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Center,
Oh, wait.
like with the wings. Yeah.
Yep. Colors, the
There's no
wolf that you added, man. Like
Yeah,
all
yeah, the wolf.
different,
Yeah.
all
if there's
those
no time
elements.
limit
Man.
on which piece. I would like to say that one of my favorite pieces from Igor was one of the first big cartoons he did with the hamster. Sorry, if you guys remember that.
the team running around.
Tyson
And
one.
we're just
The burning.
Oh
yeah,
my god, my cat. Yeah, my cat's gonna be part
little
of
comic.
this, right?
He's on stream now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
He wants your hair.
your Bloodruth. What's his name? Your Bloodruth was crazy, man. That
Thanks,
was
man.
the
That was
colors, all that. I was just like, yo, I had to be about. I was like, man, I need to really like get my colors up,
Mhm.
color game going. No,
Yeah,
but
that
very
was
good
fun.
stuff. Yeah.
That was fun. We had more time. I had more time to do that like back then, but that was a fun one. I like the prompts that we've made. Like all the prompts from Marcus have been great. And
Mhm.
it's nice to see him drawing like characters because he usually gets to do like the concept art that people if you get the first concept art book you're gonna see some of his
Yeah.
drawings, but most people don't get to see those. We do. We're fortunate enough, but it's usually like the character we have to get a good look at the uniform, so you don't get to see a lot of action. So I like the prompts, but my favorite one from Marcus is actually going to be the concept for Magus Nomite, because that's the coolest character we've made so far.
There
And,
goes Igor, loving all the creepy stuff.
Because from the moment I have one, but it's NDA, it's not gonna be out yet. It's gonna be my favorite soon enough. But from the ones that we put out, like that's the one that takes the cake. Like Marcus went out of his way on that one, because I feel like he implemented on a kind of a homage to horror movie, and then he liked on the 80s where there were like a lot of practical effect, and he made it his own. Like that could be a character in a horror movie in the 80s and 90s with like tons of practical effects, and I love to draw that character. So that's gonna take the cake for me. Like he did a great job.
Ladies to thank for that. The Oscars, because they
they're good with coming up with the creepy stuff.
Yeah, but it's your like Marcus is really good with the horror stuff. Like because if that was just a single point, it would be something. But you can see on other characters as well. Like you can see hints of horror in the villains here and there whenever he gets the chance, and it's really good. And I like that because like horror is my stuff. Like really
I had not heard this. I had no idea. That's crazy.
I'll be sure to update my portfolio. Love to draw creepy monsters and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Got
Hashtag
a
creepy pasta.
From Kanan,
Thanks.
You're welcome, man. It's really good. From Kanan, I really like the calendar piece for Bloodruth. Like that piece That I feel like Kanan can retire after that one because it's like really well composed.
You should just
There's,
get
like,
royalties and residuals after that forever.
yeah, because everything is there, and it's really hard to make all of that work, like all the elements and everything. And when I first saw the black and white, I was like, man, the color is gonna have a nightmare drawing like color in this. Like,
Absolutely,
it's gonna be really hard. That's his problem, right?
Kanan wasn't thinking about the colors. He was thinking about his awesome lines. He was like, that's the next guy's problem. That's the next step. That's not my step. I don't have to. Yeah, that's why he's the colorist. He's supposed to be able to handle it.
Yeah, that was really good. Like really good. So that's so it's a bunch of horror stuff for me.
Yeah, sorry. No, I was gonna say that also reminds me of the one he did with all the heroes. That's also in.
All the heroes and all the villains. Yeah, those are cool as well. Like I really like those.
Great composition. We were just talking composition too. Like that great composition on those pieces.
One banger after another, man. It's like really hard to pick. But yeah, we've been fortunate enough to produce a lot of stuff, right? So we can choose like many great pieces from each other. Like I feel like we've been also like improving our own craft over the years.
Yeah.
So it's really nice. It's really nice to look at like past stuff. I was going over the concepts today, looking for a character.
Yeah.
And I ended up in the wrong folder, and I was looking at the concepts from Marcus, and then I actually went to the ISO 3 one where I needed to look at some concepts, and I was like, man, Marcus really he leveled up his game, even in the concept for the characters.
Folders.
You can see like the ones that he's like updated, man. Like you can see like I always think of the Million one. I remember the original, but then the new one is like, I'm like, dude, like that's crazy. Like, you just see the change and transition. So you're right. Like the improvement, man, is evident all through it. So
that's very good to see. Like that's rewarding in of itself. Like that shows. I value this company for a reason, because when you're growing inside the company and not getting stale, that already shows like the culture around is very cool.
Exactly.
I like that.
I agree with that entirely. Excellent work.
I'd like to add one thing.
Yeah.
One of Eigor's pieces that has been shared a lot, I've noticed, especially for the Horseman campaign, obviously, the one shot of Horseman that's used for many of the milestones. Where he's just standing with the blood. That was that's really good, by the way. That's one of my favorite like I guess you could say milestone pieces from Eigor, because he's done like 1,000 of those.
Yes.
Just wanted to add that because I remembered it. I saw it earlier.
Thanks. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's kind of fun. That was fun to do as well.
That one does get shared quite a bit.
Yeah, you're really good at making backgrounds, but you're also really good at making just simple shots of a character with nothing behind them. Because that's what those are, like a character shot with no background and the milestone.
The milestones. Usually we don't have a lot of info on the characters, like Kanan was talking about the first cover for Horseman, right? Like so we don't get. Now I get more because I'm editing as well. Like right before, like there was so many things happening, and then you have to come up with like 7 or 8 shots of the character.
Right.
You end up going to Rippaverse.
I noticed.
They have to be creative.
Like there's, I remember when I was drawing Zaylin for the first time, and then there's a updated profile that I don't think he's on there yet, just because we haven't touched on this stuff yet.
Oh, no.
So but he'll be added to the character website, like most of the characters will.
Mm-hmm.
But I tweaked it, and the first one that I did was okay. Then I went and drew him again after, like you said, the character a little bit more. I was like, dang it! I was like, that's him. I was like, and actually, what kind of helped me is, for me, Zaylin reminds me of All Might. So I was like, how would All Might kind of carry himself? And so the first one, he was just kind of like this, he's like a little brooding, and but then the next one, he's actually got expression, and he's like flexing, and he's like, So I was like that, it's cool to get to know. It's funny because you get to know these characters, man. Like you always say that, the quintessential Blood Ruth is what Michael did. And I always try to make her look like that now, because, he did such a good job capturing her expression. Same thing with, with Yaira and Deborah, it's like, okay, Yaira needs to look like this, so, but yeah, man, like it's fun being in this melting pot of creative growth and expression, man. And, so we just keep getting better and better, man. And, the talent that's coming in is just, challenges us to keep our game hot and ready.
Yeah.
There's no better way to get better than to have healthy competition around you.
Yep.
If you are an actual seriously competitive person and serious about your craft and always wanting to improve, having people around you who are doing that will push you to constantly do that. And that becomes a large rising tide.
Yes.
Right. And this is the way. So thank you guys. That was great. Thank you for the insight on all your pieces. It was fun hearing y'all's favorite pieces of each other's. I guess maybe I'll say what my favorite pieces are.
Oh, nice.
True.
Of
Good
each of y'all's.
answer, you.
Maybe I'll do that. I should have been thinking about that while we were doing this. Okay.
Andrew.
And what's your own
Okay.
favorite? Because I know you did some
Oh
stick
yeah.
figures.
I've got an Andrew stick figure that should never see the light of day.
Quite a stick figure, buddy.
But my favorite design by Marcos is NDA'd. That's not fair. All right.
I think I know which one he's talking about.
I'll be serious then. I'll be serious. I think I'll try. It's hard, actually. That's really hard because Marcos puts out so many designs, so it's really hard to narrow it down to just one. Okay, so something from this year.
Oh,
got like 200 to pick from. So
yeah, only 200, right? That's a fair few. Gosh, this year's books. You know what? This is cheating a little bit because technically the book came out last year, but it fulfilled this year. I'm gonna say Crowley.
Really?
Crowley? Oh.
Okay.
I really like Crowley's design because he looks exactly how he is, which is a freaking schmuck. He is a schmuck and a trickster, and I love it. Like the design is captured perfectly. There are so many. I could have picked like, I don't know, 24 others, but that was the one that popped into my head. Part of that might be because Marcos's piece for this episode also had Crowley on it.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So it's fresh in my mind, but like the design, I just really like his design. It's really, really good, really clean.
Thanks.
Eigor, what's my favorite piece that Eigor has done? It's, it is actually one of your horseman pieces. Oh gosh, probably be easier if I brought it up. I'm not going to show everybody on the planet the OneDrive, but it's one of the ones that you did for the milestones that just like it captures Hector perfectly. And if I can at least pull it up for myself just to remember exactly, yeah, that's the one. So it's the one you did it at like not quite a Dutch angle, but it's definitely a perspective where you're looking up a bit at him, and he's like got his hands clenched. He's got his batons on his back.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually also one of your more detailed ones that you've done of him. You added a lot of extra fine details to the piece, and you also like the coloring job you did with that one as well is probably my favorite coloring job that you've done with the horseman piece as well. Like that. That's a really, really great piece.
I like because I made versions of that with like blood and without blood.
Yeah,
one of like grindhouse level blood.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was fun.
Exactly. And then Kanan. Well, that's also NDA'd for the real answer, but The the one that people have seen, or rather will eventually see. And this will be a plug, y'all. If you have not pre-ordered the mystery poster
Shameless
for
plug.
Yaira
Smooth
3, if
And
you
it's
have
my
not
favorite
pre-ordered
piece.
that, you should fix that. You should fix that, because that piece goes really hard. That piece is so good.
It was colored exactly the way I thought it would be. And,
Oh yeah.
yeah, they did a phenomenal job. Yeah, that was and
You remember?
that was it was I would say one of the more difficult ones I've done, and it wasn't because like the other element. I was about to say something. It wasn't because of some of the elements.
NBA. See, I'm starting to get everybody else trained
like,
too.
Some of the specific details in it that like I've done before, but it's just like there was a way I was trying to do it to kind of keep it open, and so it didn't have a lot of the things I typically do when I'm drawing. See, like how you see how I'm covering all that. I'm not even saying anything. But it was one of the things where you scale back and really let certain things breathe, which allow the colors to do and work their magic. And really it was to showcase what the colors can do. So I think people will be surprised. It's a little different, but at the same time it's the same. So it'll be fun.
There's really a lot to be said for when the line artist will collab once you've worked enough times with a colorist to where you lean into what that next step in the process is like really gonna hammer it home, right? And that goes for every step, right? Like as a writer, right, you want to play into your artist's strengths. And then as the penciler, you want to do the same thing for the inker, for the colorist, like the entire way. You also want to be kind to the letterers and leave a little space for the bubbles. But and bleeds.
Right. And the printers.
And the printers too, for sure. But yeah, when you have that cohesion, right? When you have that true collaboration, like that's when you just get stellar work.
Yeah.
Absolutely stellar work.
I agree, man.
And you guys are really great about like providing layups for the next person. For real. Like you do a great job of that. And every single time a new piece comes out, I'm just like, man, these cats just keep getting better. It's kind of wild.
Cats. And he had a cat on him.
Yeah. For sure.
Way, I don't know if you guys remember a while back I mentioned that my favorite design so far and overall through the Rippaverse was NDA. It's actually the one in the poster, the secret poster. So I'm kind of excited.
Oh, that's a good one.
Think about that.
Yeah, I could choose that one if you could talk about it. People are gonna see it because that's very good.
Guys, pre-order that mystery poster. Do it.
Yes.
We're not gonna unveil it. You got to just pre-order it. Take it on faith.
Yep. It definitely it's definitely worth it. I believe it's worth it. I think because it's like I said, it's so different, but then it's so Yaira.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
It's perfect. It's perfect for a Yaira campaign.
Yeah,
for a Yaira collection.
Yep.
Absolutely. All right. Quick community shout out. As always, Thinkening, RippaGuy, Velvet Room Publishing, and everybody out there that continues to share out our work to support us. Whether you're jumping in on one or two of the collections or all of them, we appreciate y'all's support. And we appreciate those of you who are like trying to create content from our work, right? That's valuable. That's how we get the word out, continue to spread it. And you guys are fantastic about that. Word of mouth is still, no matter how big we get, word of mouth will always be valuable, because having a good rapport with your fan base, and that fan base having positive things, genuinely positive things to say about your work, is worth its weight in gold, without question. So thank you to all of you guys. You are the best. Reminders, Ice on 3 is still going on. We've crossed 550. I think it's actually crossed 560K right now. I just crossed 10,000 books sold. Horseman number 1 is over 200K. In fact, Horseman number 1, I think, is creeping up on... Is that the one that's creeping up on 250 right now, or 240? Something like that. I should have these numbers pulled up in front of me. It's over 200. It's 220. So it's a 221 right now, almost 222. Get in on that. If you loved Welcome to Florist Park, Horseman number 1's even better, even more high octane. That is a worthwhile project to jump in on, because it's Chuck and Joe. I don't know what you want. Thank you to everybody who supported Great War of Separation number 2 and Zaylin What Kills Must Die. Those closed last week. So thank you for making those such tremendous successes. It makes me very happy to see every Chuck Dixon written book do very well, because I'm like, oh man, he still got it. Because I've been reading his work forever. And you guys go check out Mighty Golden Patriot right now on Rippaverse. That launched this past week. So jump in on that. That's doing very well already. And if you guys are fans of Sentai and Toku, Moon Knight, and things like that, and also stories set in like World War or World War II eras, like this is a story for you. Fantastic, fun book. You guys will absolutely have a good time with it. As far as upcoming projects go, NDA.
That's right there, right?
There are a lot of upcoming projects, let me tell y'all.
There's going to be a point we're going to have to make a book called NDA.
Right?
Redacted.
Just call it redacted. Like, have redacted over the title.
Right.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you guys so much. Y'all are the best. Thank you, artists, gentlemen, as always. I love spending time with you guys and getting you guys' insight. And I know the chat loves it too. Everybody, make sure you hit like, make sure you voted, make sure you hit share, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Check out Hero Stash if you have been like trying to catch your breath and your wallet's bleeding from all the books that we've been dropping. Consider Hero Stash. That'll save you a ton on shipping. And give you a little bit of peace of mind. Make sure that for only $5 a month, $5, become a Rippaverse member on the website. That gets you access to the standard edition copy of every single new issue of the Rippazine that we release. And there are more of those coming very soon. So definitely do that on top of all the other benefits that you get for that.
Yes.
But with all that said, gentlemen, thank you once again. Chat. Y'all are the best. Thank you for everybody that has been a part of this journey with us so far on the Rippaverse. This train ain't stopping. We're going to keep rocking. You guys are going to get to keep seeing more new work from all these talented gentlemen here. And me getting to sit here and talk about it for hopefully many, many, many years to come. So thank you for supporting creative people and me. Until next time, God bless and Godspeed.
Peace.